Do that again. Do that again.
I'll let you do one.
No.
Okay. Welcome to Feeling My Oats. It's our beginning episode.
It's our first.
Oh, okay. Welcome to Feeling My Oats. It's our first episode. We talk about beginnings, why the name Feeling My Oats, and also our individual stories about beginnings and what does it mean to begin something. Enjoy the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Feeling My Oats. This is our podcast, talk about anything and talk shit.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot of shit.
We're so excited to get this ball rolling, and we just wanted to create a platform to give our unfiltered opinions about various topics, ideas, and concepts, and however trivial or serious they be.
And after weeks of preparation, we decided to ask ourselves one guiding question. As Gia Gunn infamously mentioned just earlier this week on Twitter, she's constantly opening the doors for everyone. The doors, especially for trans women. So we wanted to pay homage to one of her most iconic quotes to ask, what's making you feel your oats right now?
My oats?
Your oats.
We're going to talk about like why are we doing this? Wait, what?
Are you on crack, girl?
In terms of ground rules, though, we just want to ensure you that we understand we might bring up sensitive topics, content without any warning. This is basically our daily conversations. We're just trying it out on a more casual and conversational way.
This is casual to you. Podcasts are casual.
Yeah, having headphones in between my ears. First and foremost, we just want to do an introduction. My name is Jeff, and I also go by Jeff Dunaway. On Instagram, you can also find me on Substack. It's called Please Remind Me. I write about culture, race, gender, and personal essays. And my co-host is...
I'm Jojo. You can find me on Instagram. We did it, Joel.
We did it, Joe.
And I hope to eventually start a Twitch account in the near future. So I'll keep you posted on that.
What are you gonna stream?
I'm gonna stream sex.
I don't think they can stream sex.
Not on Twitch, but I will anyways. Because I'm what? Rebellious.
Really?
No. Not at all. I'll be streaming chats, video games, etc. Whatever I feel like doing on that particular day.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think?
In the next month or so.
Work.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So you better fucking check it out and also subscribe. Actually, subscribe to both of us. I don't think you need any paid subscription in order to watch any of the content.
Twitch.
Yeah.
No, not on Twitch. But if you like the content or if you like engaging with that particular streamer, you can subscribe.
Right.
And I'm not too familiar with the subscription rates at this point, but you subscribe to individual accounts,
right?
Or you subscribe to watch individual Twitch streamers,
right?
But in terms of our relationship with each other...
what relationship?
We've known each other for 4 years, approximately. Maybe, give or take.
4 years?
Probably.
3.5.
Next month.
Probably.
It was mid-February, I think. It was after Reading Week or before
You remember
Reading
everything.
Yeah, so it would have been 4 years ago. Or it will be 4 years.
What's your first interaction with me, do you think?
I remember. We both we were both
had the
grad
unfortunate
students.
experience in academia.
Yeah,
as
in
grad
academia.
students.
We were both grad
students. You know what's
students.
worse?
What?
In humanities.
Yeah.
Grad
There's
student.
nothing worse than that, for sure.
Pick a struggle.
No, I'm going to write about every struggle imaginable. No, we were both grad students, and I was working on my PhD at the time, and I had volunteered for this grad studies program. Where I would get paired up with incoming students to guide them through the process. And that particular year, I don't remember which year, 4 years ago, 2018? That particular
before I landed Canada even.
Yeah, but I was assigned to 2 people, and I remember that September I sent out an email to both of them individually.
One of them is me.
One of them replied, and the other one, faggy fuck right here,
guess who is it?
did not reply. So I just moved on with my life. I mean, if you don't want to reply to my friendly message, then I mean,
In
that's
my
your...
defense, I was still learning English.
He was still learning English, but he was sucking English cocks.
Wow. I learned it English orally. I'm an oral learner,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And then I reached out, I think
fast forward
second
half a year later.
It would have been the term right after that. So February 4 years ago, which would have been the winter term. I reached out again, and you actually did reply that time.
Because I learned English.
Within 4 months.
Yes.
He learned how to reply to an email. And we had made plans to go have coffee together at... I don't even remember what
By
that's
having
called.
coffee, like actually having coffee.
We had coffee. I bought you the
We
coffee.
actually did
I
coffee.
remember I bought you that coffee.
We're sitting outside the... It's not a restaurant. It's like a...
That coffee shop on campus.
Oh, yeah.
In the basement.
Shout out to McMaster.
No,
Also
they
fun
don't
that
deserve
place.
they don't deserve a shout out.
Yeah.
But we met that day and we had a conversation and we found out that we were actually neighbors. We lived like 4 houses apart.
Right.
I remember seeing you at bus stops every once in a while, and I'm like, that's a fag right there.
That's a fact right
And
there.
my intuitions were correct. But we met, and then that evening, you came to my place, and we just played video
smashed.
games.
We
Yeah,
smashed.
We smashed. We smashed, bro.
Yeah, we smashed, bro. Mm-hmm. Of course, we picked female characters.
Speak for yourself. I play as the most masked
think
character there, which is like what? Bowser? Donkey Kong? Those are masked.
Probably.
Those are masked. Bowser, his whole character development is literally stealing
if you
this
play
woman,
Smash-
this rich woman.
Oh my god, trafficking.
Yeah, traffic. And then this fucking plumber bitch just tries to save her.
Wow, that's the working class representation that we need.
Yeah, that's
Mario
working class.
Brothers.
Yeah.
I think what bonded me and you together, we just know we're both rotted.
Got it.
Got it.
Just-
Gila monsters.
And just
Just
grotesque.
Grotesque. We both understand like it's fucking absurd to be ourselves and just like we have probably no one to rely on other than
No,
the
yeah.
lone wolves, I guess.
And we've had our ups and downs, but I think we've ultimately triumphed.
Where?
I mean, that's up for debate.
That's up for debate.
But
We'll definitely talk more about like past experiences.
yeah, past experiences, future endeavors.
I guess my point is like we're in academia. There's no way to get out. There's no way out, and people is all we have. Like it's the people that ultimately shapes the experience. Not to have like a great lesson of the day, but it's like when we think about past events, it's all the people, right? It's never much of like a lonesome thing, I think.
Yeah, we've built a community, you and I, and
Yeah.
among other people as well. And I would, we kind of just want to stress that we are building community here with this podcast, and we are welcoming others with open arms.
What do you want to say to our hypothetical listener?
Fuck you.
We should move on to our another segment of the day.
Yeah, what we were planning on doing for every episode is have a speed round. Since our podcast is about feeling our fucking oats, we want to introduce a speed round where we have various topics and we don't know these ahead of time either.
So we prepare 3 each.
For 3, we prepare 3 each, and we just ask each other how we feel about those things.
How do I feel?
How do you feel? And it's just a fun way to just keep our
Keep it going.
keep it going.
Here's our segment called
How do you feel about?
Joel, do you want to hit off the first one?
Yeah, I will definitely.
You should begin everyone like, how do you feel about?
How do you feel about Hillary Duff?
This is a preemptive question. Are you talking about the dance?
I mean, it's up for
living for it.
interpretation.
Hillary Duff is... I keep thinking about the way that she survived. Is it the Disney?
She survived that plane crash on
Yeah,
Yellow
she did.
Jackets. In 1996.
What do I think of her?
What?
I don't think of her, actually.
You think of her.
Because I think she, in the Disney, like, tier.
In the catalog.
In the catalog, she's, like, constantly under the radar.
She's constantly lowering the bar.
But, like, it's for her own, like, well-being, I guess. Like, you have Lindsay Lohan. Like, she got the fucking worst end of the shit stick. And while you have, like, Hilary Duff, who's, like, right in the middle, like, the good girl, I guess. So, people always talk, like, she can, like, easily fly under the radar without having her fucking life ruined, I guess. The short answer, I don't think of Hilary Duff.
Oh, okay.
But her dances were amazing. I think it really reinvented dance history. Okay, it's my turn.
Yeah. The next topic. How do you feel about bedpans?
What?
A bedpan.
What is that? I'm learning English.
She's learning, girls. Teach the children. Teach the children.
What is a
bedpans? When people can't use the toilet, they have a little pan underneath their bed where they piss and shit in.
Oh.
How do you feel about those?
I think it's great.
What do you like about them?
I mean, I've never used it. Allegedly.
No, because your face is the bedpan.
Where is this coming from? I'm curious. What?
I just thought of bedpans, and I'm like, she'll love that.
I love it. I'm just waiting for the day that I'm gonna use it. I mean, I've used a bottle.
And you put the bottle up your booty hole?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
You mean like a container that people piss in?
I mean...
Or take a...
It's just like a fucking metal thing that, like, you shit and piss in if you can't... If
oh,
you're
the gravy server.
If you're immobile, you can't use the toilet.
Right.
So you have bedpan. A lot of people used to use it. It was very popular, like, I'd say probably in the early 20th... No, yeah.
Probably.
Early 20th century, too. Probably during, like, the World Wars. Because a lot of the soldiers were...
Interesting.
Probably immobile. I'm not a historian. I don't claim to be.
Facts.
I'm just speculating at this point.
I think it's camp.
It's you can use them in camp or at camp. Yeah. Yeah. There was no incentive or motive. I just wanted to know what you thought about shitting and pissing in a metal plate.
That sounds like a grand idea for me.
I mean,
I can't wait.
You don't need a bedpan if you are the bedpan.
I feel like the idea of it is not too far from me. So Joe, I have my second topic is, how do you feel about people asking, how are you?
Oh, I fucking hate it. Because my immediate response, for most people, I'm just honest. I just say, I'm doing terrible. Or if I'm doing well, I'll just say, like, I'm all right. I'm never the kind of person that's like, I'm doing great.
I tell people that.
Do you?
I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, because you're a psychopath. Yes, exactly that.
And I feel like I have to, like, make it a point that I'm actually joking. Like, I have to tell people that... Like,
you say it so sarcastically that it's...
I think that the people who are, like, who don't get my humor would think that I'm cocky.
You have humor? You have a sense
I have
of
a tumor. Sorry, I'm learning English.
But I ultimately despise it. I'm never doing well, so don't ask me.
For me, like, I work in a coffee shop. People come into the shop, and the first thing will be like, they will vent off all the negative emotions.
All their traumas.
By just like, how are you guys?
You just have that face. You have that face that people want to shit in, and you also have that face that people want to confide in.
That might be true. Like, I think people, like, perceive Asian, I mean, I'm speaking very generally, they think of it as, like, non-effective, like a very, not emotionalist, but, like, a very expendable and also a neutral emotion, like, all times giving people no emotions. They think I'm the perfect vessel for their experience,
their trauma, to share their fucking experiences with the world, with their experiences of the world with you.
Right. But I give them no time. Like, I don't have the time.
Yeah, you have no patience.
Right. I honestly don't.
You have no patience for losers.
That's why we're doing this podcast.
I don't know why I'm here.
Moving on. Jojo, do you want to hit us with the third keyword of the day?
Yeah. Jeffy, how do you feel about children?
I love it when they're not mine. I think that's not too extreme.
You don't have any, so...
I like...
So you don't like children?
I like the idea of taking care care of it.
Oh, I'm glad you finished with care.
What do you mean?
You're like, I like the thought of taking care.
Taking care.
That pause really threw me off.
It was never in my picture, like in my life, that I have to consider having a child.
Like, you can't have a child if you are a child.
You know what? That's true. Mm-hmm. I'm still figuring out things in my life. Like, how am I gonna fucking cater my half of my time like to another being?
Human being, yeah. Yeah. I don't want any. I don't plan on having any.
And people have this like assumption that once we turn 35, we suddenly want a child. Like, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you either.
My brother's in the process of they're halfway through their pregnancy, and like, I'm happy for them.
What does that mean? Halfway through the pregnancy?
She's halfway.
She's oh my, okay.
She's gonna have a baby in
so many things.
In a few months, I guess. I don't know anything about children.
Me neither.
But I'm gonna live vicariously through them. Like, I'm going to hopefully spoil that child, because like, it's probably going to be the only one.
You're probably the only.
It's going to carry my legacy. So I hope
the queer agenda.
The queer agenda. I'm going to transfer the queer agenda onto that child, and I even told my brother already. I'm gonna make sure that kid turns out fabulous, and
a fabulous vegan.
A vegan.
Totally.
Vegan. What's
my third word of the day? Not my third topic of the day for the quick round is: how do you feel about skinny guys?
Next.
And that wraps up our segment. How do you feel about that? Okay, now we're back.
And since this is the first episode of our podcast, we wanted to talk about the topic of beginnings and what that means and how it makes us feel our oats. And so we had a few things that came to mind. And the first thing was particularly involving Jeff's experience with immigration. And do you want to talk about that a bit?
Sure. I'm currently in the process of applying for my residence, which is a really bizarre experience for me, because I wouldn't have known that 3 years later, since living here, I would be accepted by the nation as like a residence. But I remember the first day that I came here. I think I told you also the story as well, that I came here knowing that school is not going to be fun, but I made sure that to make friends, and it's all about the people. And I carried this kind of like thinking leaving grad school as well. It's all about people ultimately.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's about community. And
totally.
Yeah.
I think I didn't even think about like the word community at all. I just want to know people, because I think I was craving for that familiarity, and also like telling myself that I have to get uncomfortable with people in order to get comfortable, and to get to the other side and really see the place as it is. But speaking of beginnings, I think like the new year, we're in the middle of a lockdown. There's so many uncertainties, right? We have to think about like what are the changes in my life that I have to be making, and also like the courage to start something new, which is like something that I find myself like lacking in the recent years, because I made a huge move from Hong Kong to Canada. Like,
and that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of mental.
But I think we don't really think about beginning things like that much, because we're living.
We're already in the process of moving through the ebb and flows of like just life in general.
Right.
And it's very difficult, but
the idea of starting the conversation, the podcast, has always been the back of the mind. We're not abruptly starting something from nowhere, right? It's always in the back of my mind. Like moving to Canada or moving to someplace was always in the back of my mind. I just knew I had to do it at some point in my life. So I think it kind of like makes sense with the podcast as well. It's like we're not like forcing, like things have to come naturally.
Definitely. We have to try things out. We have to experiment, and then we find what works for us and what works for whoever's listening.
Hi.
Hi.
Jojo, how about you? Like, what?
I actually wanted to continue because your journey with beginnings,
Right.
especially in terms of your sexuality as well.
Right.
Coming to Canada, you were able to experiment and figure out what exactly you like, and you're still in that process. So unlike, let's say, someone like myself, who I've been open for years now, it's been over a decade. And
Over 3 decades.
Yeah, because I'm actually 72. But with my experiences with sexuality, I've had such a longer time to kind of figure out what I like and what I want.
Right.
Whereas your experience was different.
Right.
You began your sexual journey when you came to Canada, really.
But physically, really.
Yeah, physically. I mean, that's part of the process.
That's part of the problem as well.
Yeah, it's
which
part
is
of
true,
the process
which is
of finding your grounding as a queer or gay individual,
right,
or lesbian or whatever, or bisexual, etc. It's you can have those feelings, but there's a physical process that comes with it.
Totally.
To discovering and beginning your journey.
Right.
It's not just spiritual and mentally, but it's also physical.
Right.
I think we need to come to an understanding that they all coexist with one another.
Right. And I think to speak on that, I think I've always been a very sexual child in Hong Kong. Shout out to my sister, probably listening to this. Hi. I just think that like the narrative of like, oh, people moving from the east to the west, like that's when their life began. I mean, it is true, but it's like kind of like going back to the point that I was making. Like the sexuality was always there, right? It might be in the background of my mind. It was never much of like a conscious thing that I really think about. But like when I moved here, I feel like everybody's almost talking about it. There's no way to really.
And yet, no one is talking about it though. Here.
Like in a radical way, you mean?
No, not even just radical. It's like a lot of like.
No, I think you're hitting something there. Are you talking about identity politics? Like you mean like talking about sexuality in a very sensitized and like really like.
Yeah.
Like,
actually, that's it.
Right. The first week thing for the orientation, I'm going to tell you this very short story. All the people in my cohort surrounded in a circle and start pointing to each other about each other's pronouns and what we identify as. I was having an out-of-body experience, just thinking, what the fuck is going on?
You're like, I don't even know English.
I'm still learning English. I think that's something that's so like ritualized in Canada. I'm not talking about the West in generally, but like it's so ingrained and like in the identity of like in North America to be always talking about sex, always joke about sex, and like it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yet, at the same time, yeah, like you said, it's not made as radical as it should be.
Right. And I'm still trying to figure out what could that be, like having a radical, like.
I mean, yeah, I'm also always exploring that too, because I, for the longest time, identified as non-binary, but as soon as it made it mainstream, the liberals always steal everything, right?
Right.
As soon as it became mainstream, it kind of lost its politicization.
Right.
As you know, non-binary identities have existed everywhere.
Forever.
Other than the West.
Right.
I mean, which is like evident, but it's only now coming into the limelight, and it's being co-opted in every fucking piece of media.
I blame RuPaul.
RuPaul, yeah.
RuPaul,
yeah,
really.
She have fucked up drag.
And also
gender.
RuPaul, if you're listening to this,
which you're not,
I just want to say I love you, but you need to stop.
So what we are trying to suggest here is that
we're not suggesting anything.
And this is suggestive material.
Totally. We want to tell you like briefly about our backgrounds and also like how do we like our way of thinking, like a warning to a future episodes.
Yeah. Like we said earlier, this is still in the process of kind of finding our footing and finding what works for us and what works for the pod in general.
Right.
So we are moving on to myself and the familiar process of beginning to feel at ease with yourself.
Right.
And my experience with beginnings, specifically right at this conjuncture or whatever.
Conjunctivitis.
Conjunctivitis. Cut. And so now we turn to myself and the familiar process of beginning to feel at ease with yourself. And for a lot of people, feeling at ease is an unfamiliar feeling. Because I'm just speaking of experience, I've never felt at ease with myself, and I've never felt it, and I don't feel it now, that's for sure. But
do you think it's like more of a daily thing, or are there like patterns that you're noticing?
There are patterns, and I'm trying to break free from those patterns. So
Okay.
the process of beginning for me is beginning to break down the inner voices in my head that say I'm not good enough.
The inner saboteur.
Yeah, the inner saboteur.
Thank you, RuPaul.
You're good for something. But yeah, that voice in my head that's constantly telling me I'm not good enough and that I don't deserve things, etc. I'm trying to begin a process to break that down, to not listen to that voice, because that voice ultimately leads me to
Those dark corners.
those dark corners, and literally just makes me feel like fucking shit.
And it hijacks your life.
It hijacks.
I mean,
your life.
sometimes it's fair to have those conversations. It's not to say that you're hiding that thing in your mind to somewhere else. You're not putting it in a box and like tuck it somewhere. It's like having a good relationship with that part of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has that.
Yeah, totally.
We all
some have it bigger.
experience. Yeah, like my
It's
ass.
a size joke. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a size joke. You shouldn't be joking, size queen. But
I'm curious to know, like, are you doing anything? Like, do you have any habits that helps you kind of like begin that?
Well, I've been in the process. I've been doing this for approximately a year, but I stopped in the summer. I try to walk daily.
That's great.
So I will walk around my neighborhood for somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. And that keeps my mind going, because I'm also listening to podcasts, I'm listening to music, and I also have my phone out and I play Pokemon Go.
Pokemon, no. Pokemon.
Yeah. So that keeps me occupied when I'm walking and I'm not thinking about anything else but that.
Shout out to walking.
Shout out to walking. So I've been doing that for almost a year now. I stopped in the summer and I just started back up again. But
And you stopped smoking as well.
I stopped smoking over a year and a half ago now.
Right. What do you want to say to smoking? I think
I smell when I walk past people on the street who are smoking. It really repulses me now, but at the time I was like, when I was smoking, I was like, I love it.
because you're in it. You're
in
within
it. You
yeah.
smell like shit and you don't even know. But I've smoked for 5-6 years.
Right.
No, not quite actually. 4 or 5 years. And it was an awful habit, and I'm glad that's done.
Right.
Part of my past now, but that's quitting and not on top.
I mean, quitting is beginning. Sounds such a cliche, but it's true. Like
You're right.
because you're getting rid of something, to make space
For
something
nothing.
else. Totally. Just like just casually quitting something.
No, you're quitting something to begin what?
Right.
A healthier
Like-
lifestyle?
Yeah.
Well, what is healthy? That's up for debate. That's another topic for another day. But
Speaking of that, I think this.
no, we just wanted to conclude with a brief conversation about beginning this podcast. And I know we've talked about it already, but we both realized that this is something that we've wanted to do for a while, and we've had conversations about it for months leading up to this.
Right.
And we realized this is something fulfilling for us, and it's a process of fulfillment.
Wow.
And
To me, it's way more gutted than it is. Because you can't do a podcast with your liberal arts degree. What can you do?
We don't have...
We're doing this mostly like to make fun of things and also to make fun of ourselves.
Girl, speak for yourself.
Because I think there's so...
I don't need to make fun of myself. My brain does it for me.
Already.
Okay?
Shout out to your brain. I just think it's whatever. Like, you just have to say fuck it and just do it.
Yeah.
Like, we care so much about the end product and like how people are gonna look at it and
yeah. But it's experimentation. It's figuring out.
It's play. It's about playing.
Yeah, it's camp.
It's camp. But that also translates to the writing that I'm doing. Like, I just need to do something.
Yeah, this is another creative outlet for both of us.
Yeah.
I'm, as much as I do enjoy writing, I do write poetry sometimes.
Right.
Like when I'm in the mood or when I'm fucking feeling really down and dark, which is like all the time, but I haven't been in the mood lately.
Right.
And writing is important for both of us, but
right. But there's so much like spontaneity and like playfulness that cannot go captured in a written format. Not to yeah.
For sure. And I think that I'm more of a verbal person myself. I'd rather have conversations in person or over the phone verbally than to write it down. Because my impatient ass...
And you have a great voice.
Oh, thank you. I'm very impatient and I like to get to the point. It's quicker to have a conversation about what we're doing or where we're going than over... like in person, verbally,
300-word essay.
Then to write everything down and it take about an hour for the same result.
Or worse result.
Or worse result.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And so I'd rather have that conversation.
Right.
And this podcast is a perfect format or media to have these conversations and to express ourselves in ways that writing will not allow.
Right. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast,
Feeling My Oats.
We had so much fun talking about beginnings, and we're so excited to see where this would take us and also the topics that we're going to cover in future episodes. So make sure you tune in next week.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Jeff Dunaway _ and at We Did It Joel. You can also find Jeff on Substack at
Please Remind Me.
And I will eventually have a Twitch account up and ready real soon. I'll keep you posted on that.
In the meantime, thank you so much for listening to our faggy voices, and we hope
you feel your oats all day.
See ya!
See ya. Bye.